this to order. Okay. Call the annual meeting of the Shell Rock River Watershed District to order. Approval of agenda.
Yep, there's no corrections, additions to the agenda, so let's see what you got.
Okay, somebody here to make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
The second,
Second.
any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Who's going to do the introductions here?
Mr. Chair, I'd have you do the managers and staff introductions, and then I will do the Citizens Advisory Committee.
Oh, really? I think Leah should.
Yeah, that sheet of paper there.
Out right there.
Oh,
We tried to make it easy for us.
okay. So board managers, myself, Nick Dellinger as vice chairman, Brad Kramer, secretary, Alan Bach, and treasurer, Mike Hanson, manager, Joe Piskowski, manager, Dan DeBoer, manager not present. Andy Henschel is the administrator, Carmen Christensen, the financial technician, Scott Christensen, the technical specialist, Courtney Phillips, program advisor manager, Leah Stadheim, administrative assistant, and education and outreach coordinator. Long time.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item C is the recognition of the 2021 Citizens Advisory Committee. Due to COVID, they only met twice this year, once on April 14th and once on May 26th. Most of those meetings were prepping for the lake cleanup, but they did meet. So members of the Citizens Advisory Committee at large with the city of Alberta is Dalton Severson. We have Laura Cunningham, Holly Karshins, Lindsay Zettler, and Joe Pasuski from the district sits on there. And we also have meetings together with the Lakes Foundation. And on that is Bill Howe, and a couple other ones that are missing. Brad Kramer, sorry, Brad, and also Bob Furland are sitting on the Lakes Foundation. So again, thank those committee members if you see them. And we will have to replace Dalton Severson. He was with the engineering department at the city of Alberta, has moved on to another position, so we will be looking to the city to fill that vacancy. So moving down to item 2, our consultants. I'm just going to go through and list our consultants that we work with. First is the Americana Insurance Group. They're our insurance agent. We have Hill, Larson, Wolf, and Benda. That is our certified public accountants. We have Conservation Strategies Incorporated. They're our legislative representation. We have our League of Minnesota Cities. That is our insurance carrier. We have Peterson, Coker, Haight, and Benda. That is our law firm. We have Fabansky, Westra, Hart, and Thompson. That is a law firm we're working with regarding the confined disposal facility lawsuit. We also work with Jones Haugen Smith as an engineer and surveyor for the district. Ramball is an engineering company that we work with on the dredge project of Fountain Lake. Bar Engineering Company, which is an environmental consultant and engineering firm. We work on a lot of wetland restorations with them. Respec is an environmental consulting and engineering firm. We worked with them on some planning, the credit trading program, we worked with them. And then that was also switched to ISG. We have WSB and Associates, again, an environmental consulting and engineering firm. And again, they work with us on a lot of our wetland issues, stream bank erosion issues, so on and so forth. And then ISG is a newer consultant that we started using, and you'll start to see some of their work here with the Orr property, where we're doing some wetland restoration and some tile diversion. And then also the Pamlico Prairie, you'll start seeing them mentioned on those projects. So that is our list of consultants. Item 3 is our budget and revenue and expenditures. So due to COVID, of course, we haven't had a couple annual meetings. We did not have an annual meeting in 2020 or 2021. So one thing I do want to note is we do have these handouts. We will have these on the website. And one thing I want to note on these, again, it just gives a nice quick little overview of the watershed district from when it was established. But the back page, I think, is probably the most interesting. This really goes over our project budget and goes through our administrative funds and our administrative budget. But really what I want you to look at in both 19, 20, and 21 is if you look at the grand totals for sales tax, grants, and then total. As of today, or as of last year, the watershed district has spent $54,889.44 on projects. 37 million of that has been from grants or bonding, and 17 million of that has been from the local option sales tax. So I think it really shows how we are using our sales tax to leverage our grant dollars and then to do good projects within the watershed district. If you look to the far left, you can see all the different projects we have worked on. And it sort of gives you a total of what those projects have cost to this point. And we just keep adding to this every year as we keep doing projects. So this is some good material. Usually, you know, if you're at the coffee shop, definitely bring this up. I mean, I think it really shows how the district is definitely leveraging those sales tax dollars to do bigger and better projects within the county and within the city of Albert Lea. Again, not all of the projects are within the city of Albert Lea, but they all affect water that flows through the city. So. All right, with that, I'm going to go over the 2021 actual budget, and then I'm going to stress the 2022 budget. So in 2021, the administrative budget totaled $542,033.88. And the project budget in 2021, these are actual numbers, was $6,144,926.85. The administrative budget, proposed budget for 2022 is estimated at $267,000. And the project fund budget for 2022 is estimated at $7,966,160. So moving on to B, the revenue. If we look at the actual revenue for 2021, we have the administrative levy again at $251,813.58. We have investment income of $9.45. We have reimbursements of $2,618.85. And then we carried forward from 2020, $287,592 for a total of $542,033.88. And that was for revenue. Projected for 2022 for the admin budget, we have $250,000 in the administrative levy. We have the liability insurance fund levy at $17,000 for a total of $267,000. Moving on to revenues in 2021. Now this is actual revenue for project funds. We have the local option sales tax brought in 1,720,186.19. We have a bond fund levy of $142,178.75. We have grant reimbursements of $2,082,233.98. And we have the Minnesota Clean Water Program loan at 1.5 million. We have investment income of $37.40. We have other income of $34,369.53. And we carried forward from 2020, $665,923 for a total income or total revenue for 2021 of $6,144,926.85. The projected revenue for projects for 2022 is our local option sales tax of $1,500,000. Our bond fund levy of $178,625. Our grant reimbursements of $5,415,535.00. And we'll carry forward from 2020, $872,000 for a total revenue for 2022 estimated at $7,966,160. So then if we look at expenditures, these are actual expenditures for 2021. And again, these are for projects within our project categories. So the first one is erosion and water control projects. We spent $753,663.81. For Bowser targeted watershed projects, we spent $108,965.19. For sub-watershed projects, we spent $1,458,774.78. For the dredging element, which would have been phase 2, we spent $2,739,167.60. For water monitoring, we spent $46,539.20. And debt services, we spent $167,552.50. And we carried over again from 2022 projects, $870,263.77 for a total of $6,144,926.85. So the projected expenditures for 2022, again, some of the same categories you'll see. Under erosion and water control, we will spend roughly $2,884,150. Under some watershed projects, we'll spend $1,336,500. Under dredging element, and of course, this could change depending on bonding. We're estimated to spend $49,000. Water monitoring, we're estimating to spend $38,000. Debt services, we're estimating to spend $168,000. So the reserve, and this is with cash and grants, we will have $3,490,510.00 for a total expenditures in 2022 of $7,966,160. Any questions on the 2021 actual budget or the 2022 proposed budget? All right, hearing none, I'll move on to item 4, which is a review of assets. Assets, I don't know, I'll go back to the 2020. In 2020, we had assets of $12,349. And the biggest expenditure in that asset was the rain barrels that we use for our cost share of $6,336. And the next largest asset was a couple computers at $3,020.49. Our assets in 2021 totaled $3,481.74. And the largest two on there are the Logitech conference system and expansion mic, which we use for our Zoom meetings. So that's our assets for 2020 and 2021. Insurance for the district, we have insurance with the League of Minnesota Cities. Again, that total insurance is $48,634. Of that, $48,634, $17,000 of that is for liability. And then we have workman's comp with SFM for $1,626 per year. And so that is our two items for insurance. Any questions on assets or insurance? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to item 5, which is a review of the 2021 and 2022 priorities and status report. And with this, we'll start with Scott Christensen.
Good evening. If you haven't seen this already, this is the 2021 newsletter. And the PowerPoint you see on the screen is just kind of a summary of the water monitoring that we've been doing. This kind of gets, the newsletter gets more into depth on the data we collect and how that's used and other observations. So next slide. Our 2021 district water monitoring program sample totals included 124 phosphorus, 124 nitrogen, and 124 clarity and turbidity measurements. This is over 9 stream sites and 6 lake sites, including Fountain Lake, Everly Lake, and Pickerel Lake. And these results are measured against the state clean water standards. So one of the biggest things that we saw this monitoring season was a 6.5 feet clarity reading on Fountain Lake, which is the highest we've ever recorded since monitoring began in 2005. And just kind of highlight the overall environmental conditions of the watershed district. Of course, severity increased in 2021, and that led to lower flushing rates in area lakes and streams. And we had 3 events of harmful algal blooms in area lakes this past season due to low flushing rates and higher temperatures. Next slide. So the graph you see on top is the U.S. drought monitor, and that represents the entire land area within the Charlotte River watershed. So at least 100% of the Charlotte River watershed was abnormally dry in moderate drought, severe drought, or around 20% in extreme drought later in the year. And the graph below is from remote sensing equipment that we've installed on the dam on Fountain Lake. This takes temperature readings as well as pressure sensor readings from that we kind of get an estimate of water flow. So the biggest thing is the 75-degree Fahrenheit of water temperature. The daily average water temperature in Fountain had 2 occasions of over 75-degree Fahrenheit in June and July, and pretty long stretch of well over 75 degrees in August through end of August. So that kind of, that's the biggest thing for blue-green algae to bloom is high water temperature and abundance of phosphorus. So next slide. And this graph shows at the Fountain Lake Dam where we have our remote sensing equipment. The dam crest elevation is 1,214 3/10 feet above mean sea level. And you can kind of see on the far left the kind of spring rain events, and then it peters down to almost nothing flowing over the dam. And for a period of time in late August where the extreme drought kicks in, we see no flow over the dam, and that just kind of captures the whole flushing rate theory that there was no water moving over the dam, and that led to additional elbow booms. And this just kind of shows the discharge rate of the Shark River at Gordonsville. And what's surprisingly, or the most surprising on this is the peak flow that we had in September. And we usually see peak flow in spring due to runoff, ice out conditions. And it kind of correlates with the drought monitor. You can see late July and August, we hit that extreme drought condition, and it came down to very, very low flow through the Shark River watershed, or Shark River at Gordonsville. So next slide. These are our Secchi disc readings. That is a measure of clarity for Minnesota Pollution Control Agency Shell Lake standards. And their standard is greater than or equal to 2.3 feet. And our summer average on Fountain Lake was 2.35 feet. So we met that standard. Just to highlight the 6.5 feet clarity reading that we saw in June. That's the highest that we've ever seen. That it kind of, as drought increased and rain events seem to not happen as often, clarity readings dwindled. Overly Lake was another good example. We had in June a disc on bottom reading, which means clarity to the lake bottom. And to my knowledge, we haven't seen that since 2008, when 2007 would have been after the winter kill on Overly Lake. And then, of course, after or as drought increased, we had a summer average of 0.9 feet. And next slide shows Pickerel Lake Secchi depth readings. Again, that early spring June reading was above MPCA standard and quickly diminished after drought conditions kicked in. We had a summer average of 0.78 feet. And Shark River clarity, going from left to right, is upstream, starting at the Overly Lake outlet, moving down to Glenville, and then finally at Gordonsville. Clarity readings are taken with a turbidity tube, and much like a Secchi disc, we use that number to correlate with turbidity and total suspended solids. So what affects clarity at the outlet of Overly Lake is chlorophyll A, which is the main photosynthetic pigment found in algae. 2021 Overly Lake chlorophyll A concentrations were 166 micrograms per liter, with a state standard of 30 micrograms per liter. But as water flows down from the Overly Lake outlet into Glenville and then finally Gordonsville, it gets filtered out through multiple wetlands, and throughout that area, there's chances for zooplankton to eat that phytoplankton and reduce that noticeably green coloration. And next slide shows the harmful algal blooms in Fountain Lake. This picture was from the south side of Edgewater Bay in August of 2021. And again, that 75-degree Fahrenheit water temperature is what really kicked us in the teeth this year. Low flushing rates in lakes often lead to heightened risk for algal blooms, and of course phosphorus levels being over state standard doesn't help. And the longer water residency time, temperature variation, and high phosphorus concentrations led to 3 documented algal blooms in Fountain Lake this year in late June, mid-July, and August. But we did get one rain event in September that ended up knocking down our daily average water temperature, so it helped to filter out some of that harmful cyanobacteria. And moving on to projects, of course, the Upper Twin Lake Pump Station. This is a designated waterfall resting area in our wildlife designated lake. The pump was installed to manage Upper Twin Lake independent of Lower Twin Lake, and the overall goal is to improve breeding and resting waterfowl habitat via active water profile management for beneficial forage vegetation. This project was funded by SART-SAMS and partners included Fish and Wildlife Service, Minnesota DNR, and Fremont County, with work completed by Finger Construction. Next up is Picker Lake Site 12. We removed a collapsed culvert that was stopping flow of water and fish from Picker Lake on the northwest side of Picker Lake to a private wetland. We partnered with Mike Nepa, the landowner, and this project was also funded by the SART-SAMS. So we removed the collapsed culvert, dug a channel, and installed a rock riffle structure allowing native pike to come up and spawn in the wetland during the spring and yellow perch as well. Achieving that goal of rehabilitating a private wetland and increasing that connectivity to Picker Lake. Next up is Goose Creek Restoration. This is a bifurcated project from the Lower Twin Lake Fish Barrier. We had some extra funding left over and staff were able to get some easements. Big shout out to the local partners, Valerie Qualley, Larry and Sandy Slenton, Ross and Deb Miller, Lowell and Catherine Attic, Andy Christian, Vicky Evanhoe, Doug and Pat Godley, Son Joanne Brackey, Danny Tuttle, Gene Herfeld, and the City of Twin Lakes. We got 11 easements in a short amount of time to make this project happen and get that extra funding spent. The top two images show floodplain restorations. We were able to reduce the overall soil profile and restore that floodplain elevation back to historic conditions, alleviating some of that downstream flooding. And the middle picture, our root wads jammed into the bank, anchored with rock. And overall, this reduces water velocity, which reduces erosion. So next up is the Wedge Creek Reach 1 vegetative management. This spring, we had Minnesota Native Landscapes come out and spray breeding hairy grass, which is an invasive species, and it really dominated the floodplain. So we were able to have them spray it, and then they came back and burned it and seeded it with a native sedge mix, which should help restore the native plant community. And we also had goat dispatch in to graze some of the upland timber area for invasive buckthorn control and kind of get that matrix of allowing grasses and whatnot to grow beneath where buckthorn had predominantly been major plant species. And next we had Wedge Creek Reach 6 culvert repair. Ice out of spring 2019 had it was pretty fast and we had a lot of ice rifts. So these culverts were installed in 2015 near school section 8. And pictured left is a ice rift that actually upended the end of a culvert and damaged it to the point that it had to be repaired to restore flow of both culverts. And on the bottom right is the final product. The damaged culvert end was removed and it was installed, and then placed rock in front of the ends of the culverts that you won't see any ice drifting, building up and damaging the culvert in the future. So, and lastly, the Fountain Lake restoration. I was part of the imagery survey. The dredge contractor JF Brennan, district staff assumed responsibility for pay survey quality control in 2020 and 2021. And the middle picture shows areas of Heart Lake bottom, predominantly at the outlet of Bancroft Bay. And there are a couple other areas, the old beach on the southwest side and along that fiber optic or gas line that we had to stay away from. There's another area. So just kind of highlight some of the native bottom that will get to take advantage of in coming years when we're doing our in lake habitat project. Just kind of enhance those areas. And lastly is on the bottom right. It's kind of hard to see in the picture, but that's a really green clay, and that's resultant from anoxic conditions. And that was actually from Dane Bay, and we took around 80 core samples last summer to kind of figure out where Jeff Brennan can get more volume and dredging. And the anoxic clay condition is resulting from decades of muck over top, that fine sediment reducing oxygenation of the native bottom beneath. So hopefully in the future, with that fine sediment gone, we're going to see more oxic conditions of the bottom, which enhances macro and microinvertebrate habitat. And so we'll see a regime change hopefully, and that was the only spot we saw it, just in Dane Bay. Anyone has any questions? Otherwise, turn over to Andy.
All right, well, thank you, Scott. And yeah, again, in Courtney's absence, I'll be going over some of Courtney's main projects that she worked on. The first one being the Miller Wetland. Again, this project was funded by the Sarge Sam's Outdoor Heritage Council. Some of the main work included 4 berms, 44 tile breaks, 2 swales, and 1 agri-drain. Again, this area covers over 150 acres. And again, partners in this project were the U.S. Fish and Wildlife. The second one is the Panicum restoration. This restoration is actually along the Shell Rock River, right there at the state line, Minnesota and Iowa. Again, in the top picture, you can see the large washed out banks, and you can see where the river has just been gradually eating away at that bank, sort of moving in that direction. So you can see some of the project goals were, again, restoration was centered on reducing erosion along the bank. Again, we placed 780 lineal feet of tow wood to help, again, reduce some of that flow or the velocity that rips at those banks. And again, this project, we partnered with the Department of Natural Resources who assist us and our engineer with the design and made it much easier to get the permits for. So you always try to make them a project partner. Along the same project, again, we bid these projects together, was the headwaters restoration. Now this is just down from the Albert Lee Lake Dam and just north of County Road 84. Again, it was funded by through the Sarge Sam's Outdoor Heritage. Again, it was to create habitat and narrowing the stream channel. We did this with 6 rock riffles, 37 tree revetments, and 740 permeable dikes. And again, partnered with the Minnesota Department of Natural Resource. So one thing that this is, we're trying to create here, as you can see on that bottom picture, the river is pretty over widened compared to where the dam is and how much water goes from the dam. This gets much wider. So what we're trying to do is narrow down the channel. I mean, they're permeable dikes, so water can still flow there. But what this should do is should focus the energy of the water in that main channel area, which over time will deepen that, which will create better volume, better flow through that area, and which will also create better habitat as well. And it will also, again, be allowed to better use that floodplain in that bottom picture to the left-hand side. The second one, or the third one is the Owens Waterway. Up top, you can see the waterway or where the gullies were occurring. Again, if you remember, we purchased the property just down the hill from this area, again with Sarge Sam's dollars, and did a large wetland restoration in that area. So one of the things we wanted to do was also to limit that wetland from getting filled in. And the way we did that was to, again, work with the landowner and put in 2,200 lineal feet waterways and to reduce the gully erosion and eroding topsoil. So yeah, it was a good project, and you can definitely see the waterways, and hopefully we'll see them working quite well this spring. Next is the J9 outlet. This one we worked quite heavily with Freeborn County ditch inspector. This was one of the projects where we also did the two-stage ditch. This is the same ditch system. However, this is the actual outlet where it outletted into Pickerel Lake. You can see the top picture. We have 6 to 8 foot cut banks. It actually eroded where the landowner had the gate, and basically was like that for about, I'd say 200 feet all the way to Pickerel Lake. So the bottom picture, you can see where what you can't see in the top picture is where JD9 outlets. It's actually a 36-inch culvert that actually outlets in that area. And basically what it was doing is head cutting all the way up. So now you can see the other thing you can't see in this picture, but you can tell by the bottom picture where we have all that riprap going up to the north. There's quite a bit of elevation change. And so you get a bunch of water that comes down and flows through that. And basically what it was doing is flowing right over the tile main that in the bottom pictures in the pool, but about centered in that waterway. So you had the surface water coming over that area, creating more flow, more gullying activity, as well as the county tile. So what we did is we went in there, basically shaped it, rip-wrapped or armored where that surface flow would come, and then armored both sides of where the tile dumps in, and it actually looks really good. So far it looks like it's functioning quite well. Again, and it was a direct source to Pickerel Lake, so it definitely helps us in our work to clean up Pickerel Lake. And again, huge shout out to the Ditch Authority. They were excellent to work with. We actually found that JD9 was actually collapsed. There were some areas of the tile main that were collapsed. We worked with them and with our contractor to get that stuff fixed as well in that area. So it was a really good overall project for both the county and for the watershed district. The next one is a land acquisition that was funded through the Sard Sam's Outdoor Heritage. It's 20 acres, and basically it was looked at for a couple reasons. One was to protect floodplain habitat. So this is actually just east of the city of Glenville. You can see the Shell Rock River watershed, or Shell Rock River borders it there on the south and west side. But it was also one of the things that we worked with the DNR and the water trail to at some point work with the DNR to put in a access somewhere on that property for canoers and kayaks to canoe and kayak the Shell Rock River. Another funding acquisition, again, this is in the Pickerel Lake subwatershed. We worked with Belshon. This is a Belshon property acquisition of 57 acres. What you can see from this picture is to the west of this parcel is Pickerel Lake, and then also to the north and west is a large wetland complex. And again, working with this landowner to restore wetland habitat on this, as well as native prairie. Again, the restoration, more restoration work will follow this purchase, but the first thing was to do is purchase it. Now we're in the stages of looking at restoration, and again, this will be part of a larger complex, working with the same landowner to purchase more of this property to the west of this that actually borders Highway 69 right next to Picker Lake. The last one I'm going to talk about is phase 3 of the Fountain Lake Restoration Project. Again, what you're looking at here is a picture of phase 1 and phase 2. Again, this was funded through the local option sales tax and the state bonding. Phase 1, we removed 648,168 cubic yards of material. That would be everything in Edgewater Bay. In phase 2, we removed 618,490 cubic yards of material. And this included the center, what I call the center bay of Fountain Lake, as well as Danes Bay. You can see the darker blue is our deeper areas. You can see we have our deeper areas where we have a lot of inputs from whether it being Shaw Creek or Wedge Creek. Also areas where we have city stormwater that comes in. Also in Danes Bay, you can see along the edge there, we have a sediment basin built in there. The reason those were built and planned into the plan, again, was looking at eventually going in there and cleaning those out with a long reach backhoe or some type of device to allow the material not to keep encroaching into the main lake and prolong the depth in the lake as long as we can. And Leah, I'm gonna have you just jump to the next slide. So in this one, this is actually phase 3. Everything in the dark black that's circled. Now I know this map's kind of not in the right orientation, and it also is just black, but the black highlighted areas. So you see where it says Main Bay. So that's to the north or to the top there. Yep. So to the top there is where, no, down that line right there, up, right there. That's where we ended the dredging in phase 2. So that will be the first portion of Main Bay in phase 3. So that will take us all the way down to Catherine's Island and the dam. Part of phase 3 also includes where we finished in Bancroft Bay, right at the mouth right there, all the way through Bancroft Bay. And then as we go under the bridge, and then we have our navigation channels, which you can see are outlined, yep, right there. And then also to the bottom right there, those are our navigation channels, again, kind of similar to what we did in Edgewater Bay, up at where the boat docks are to the north. And then we also have the sedimentation hole where Bancroft Creek dumps into Bancroft Bay right there. So again, that is what we have right now entailed in phase 3 and in the design work that we are working on for phase 3. This is roughly between 500 and 600,000 cubic yards of material. Of course, that will depend on what we receive in bonding and of course what bids come in at. If gas stays up this high, we probably won't be able to take out as much as we want, just because I don't think we can remove that much material with gas prices at what they're at now, even with the inflationary numbers that we added to our bonding request this late summer. Moving on.
Do you want to go to this one or?
No, that one's just pretty much the same. And now I'm going to turn it over to Leah.
So again, my name is Leah Stadheim. Besides being the administrative assistant at the Shell Rock River Watershed District, I'm also responsible for education and outreach. The district is active on several social media platforms, including Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Snapchat. However, the most of our outreach takes place on Facebook. We have over 1,200 followers and often reach over 3,000 people per post. So please follow us on Facebook at Shell Rock River for project updates, board meeting information, and much more. The district actively maintains a website, so please visit www.shellrock.org for information about the district, including lakes and streams, board meeting recordings and minutes, partners and funding sources, cost shares, and much more. On our website, there's also a tab to subscribe to our newsletter, the Watershed Weekly. This weekly email correspondence contains up-to-date information about the district, including project information, staff updates, office closures, and more. The district recently partnered with Adopt a Drain program. Because rain washes anything that's on the streets and paved surfaces down storm drains and into our lakes, streams, and waterways. So by adopting a drain, you are committed to keeping the drain and the area around it clean of leaves, trash, and other debris. Your participation can reduce water pollution for cleaner waterways and healthier communities. To date, citizens in Albert Lea have adopted over 40 storm drains. So if you'd like to sign up, go to our website at www.shellrock.org and click on the tab entitled Adopt a Drain. Finally, the district pursues their mission to improve water quality by educating the next generation of lake lovers. Last summer, in collaboration with community education, the district taught 324 targeted services students about the effects of water pollution using an interactive watershed model. Also, the district is active in our community by participating in the Albert Lea Safety Night, Wind Down Wednesday, and local classrooms.
All right, well, with that, Leah, thank you. Scott, thank you. Courtney's not here, but thanks, Courtney. I would like to say thanks for coming, all those who attended, and all those on Facebook. Thanks for learning about the Shell Rock River Watershed District and what we do on a yearly basis. And with that, Gary, I'm gonna turn it back over to you, Mr. Chair.
Anybody?
I'd just like to thank the staff for all the good work they do, because they do really good work. And they're noted all over the state of the other watershed as being the best, so keep it up. You guys did a good job. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Anybody else? I'll take a motion to adjourn. So moved. We are adjourned.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.